Live from the 2011 Illinois State Fair, it's a Ray Lytle show. Hello, people. How are you? It is 11 minutes after 11 o'clock, time for a Culver's West on Wabash mini mixer blended sundae, perfect for any size appetite. Now at Culver's West on Wabash. So I'm here. I get done interviewing budget director Bill McCarty. He's leaving, and I see school board member Scott McFarland walking right in front of me. Down, what is this, Central Avenue or whatever this one is? I don't know what the street is. Walking right in front of me. And he joins me now live from the fair. Welcome, Scott. How are you?
Well, doing good.
So school year is getting ready to start.
Yes, it is.
And are we going to be able to pay for these kids to go to school, or what is the school board? What's the latest with the school board?
The latest. Well, we're working on the budget right now.
Mm-hmm.
We are going to we are going to pass the budget in the first September meeting, September 6th. In the meantime, it's open to public comment right now.
Mm-hmm.
The budget is available for everyone to take a look at, and we are actually looking at doing quite a few cuts to that budget, and those are available online at the district's website. And yes, we are going to be able to pay for school this year. And
good.
I'll say that. And we actually, when it's all said and done, because of the cuts we're looking at, we're still going to have a healthy reserve. We're going to have over 15% in reserve.
What's been the biggest public? I know there's complaints from people on the board, but what's the biggest public complaint that you guys have seen during this budget process? I mean, what has been the biggest, maybe not complaint, let me reword that. What's been the biggest concern for people, for the public?
I gotcha. I've gotten a lot of phone calls from people who really are actually getting some bad information.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we are not laying off teachers. Okay. A lot of people think there's 22 positions being cut, and people think we're laying off teachers. That's not the case.
Because you hear the rumors that teachers are going to be cut off, that class sizes are going to be increased to what's the one I heard? Class sizes are going to be increased to a limit where these children cannot possibly learn. Yeah. You hear these concerns like that. So we're not laying off teachers.
No, we're removing 22 positions that were not filled to begin with, which is going to save us several $1 million.
So these were people that were no longer
attrition. These are people.
These are jobs that used to.
Exactly.
Right.
And also we are looking at class sizes, because a lot of class sizes were either right there at the threshold, which for elementary is 31, for middle school and high school is 33,
right, or
some that were pretty low, in the 20s.
Mm-hmm.
So we're balancing it out, and that's allowing us to hire less teachers this year, which is going to save us money as well.
Okay.
So is it the best situation? Absolutely not.
So you're going to make sure that the classes that have like 20 kids in it will move up to the 31 point.
I wouldn't say all the way up to 31, but we're going to make sure that everything's more balanced out, which is going to allow us to save money. Because obviously, when you have a school district like this, the largest expense is going to be your teachers, and it should be. So if we can find ways to mitigate that, and that's what we're doing, we're looking at probably saving about $5 million out of the budget this year, which is going to allow us to have that healthy 15% reserve in there. So, yeah, it's not the best time to be budgeting for a school district, but Springfield's pretty good off, well off. You look at some other school districts around the state, they're shutting down schools.
Yeah, and it's sad. It's very sad.
They are laying off teachers, and we don't have to worry about that at this point because we have that healthy reserve. So I think in the grand scheme of things, we're doing pretty good for for the economy that we're dealing with.
Are we still talking about getting a new high school at some point in Springfield?
There's been discussions from when I campaigned and to this day. I'm not for a new high school.
Right.
My area is Lanphier, and actually Lanphier's in my sub-district.
Right.
So I would much prefer putting some resources into Southeast, Lanphier, and Springfield to make sure those schools are as good as they can be.
Yeah.
And the populations just aren't there for a new school on the west side or what have you. We don't have the money for it, honestly.
The talk was to put a brand new high school up somewhere in that west of Coca Mill area,
mm-hmm. or
is something there to where. But listen, I just want to point something up that I have not heard people say, but or at least I haven't heard board members say. But I'm telling you, the community would say it, and this is just advice for the board, and you can pass it along if you'd like. If the brand new school goes out in that part of the city where the people already have the brand new nice houses, and the people already have the brand new roads, brand new sewers, power lines underground, and already have all the nice stuff, if they end up getting the really nice school, there are going to be some people that are going to complain. I don't have to tell you this, considering Lanphier's your area. And isn't that the tax base that is one of the higher tax bases in the city? I mean, when you look at property taxes.
On the west side?
Yeah. If they get the new school, the people at Southeast in the Lanphier area, they're not going to be real happy about that.
I don't want it to be one of those them versus us. We're all in this together, and I represent everyone who has any stake in the school district, which is basically anyone who lives in Springfield. But when it comes down to it, we need to spend our money wisely, and the wisest part is to make sure that Lanphier is up to snuff, that Southeast is up to snuff, and Springfield is up to snuff. And we're doing that. You know, Lanphier...
For school, for the kids going to school, for actual enrollment. Yeah. Are we at some level where we need to have a new school?
I don't believe so. Okay. The numbers I saw, and this is fluctuating daily now because of registration, but Springfield has the most enrollment, followed by Southeast and followed by Lanphier. Lanphier's at the 1,100 to 1,200 range, and Springfield's up in the 1,400 range. Again, that's fluctuating right now, so I don't have exact numbers. But those are healthy numbers. In fact, Lanphier and Southeast have room to expand. Springfield's basically up to capacity, but Lanphier and Southeast have room to expand.
I hear all the time, science and math, science and math, science and math. And granted, it's something that we need to worry about. I mean, yes, you look at the rest of the world, they are ahead of us in science and math. But I worry about other programs, too. For example, I know a lot of people think that it was some kind of athletic scholarship that got me my college paid for. But I grew up a kid not of a lot of means. My scholarship was actually in vocal music. Okay, that's where I got mine. I'm concerned, and of course I worked hard to get good grades. The grades were nowhere near good enough to get me an academic scholarship. It was in vocal music. I wonder about kids like me who are decent students, who have interest. Mine was more in the political science communications area. But I wonder about kids like that. And when you always hear that the programs that people are talking about cutting are your arts programs, including, your vocal music, your bands, and how much of a concern is that in Springfield?
Well, it's a big concern, and you're preaching to the choir. I actually, for a little bit, taught history and sociology, and my wife has a degree in theater. So arts are very important to my family, and I think it's very important to the people in the district, and we're making sure that we're not looking to cut those areas. Okay. Again, when you look at the budget cuts that we're proposing, the superintendent's proposing, you're not going to see drastic cuts in the arts. And as long as I'm around, I won't vote for drastic cuts in the arts.
I think it's important, and I'll tell you, when you look at Springfield, and this is, in all honesty, when people talk about Springfield, they do talk about our arts. And one of the reasons that we have such a successful, whether it's Springfield Theater Center or the Muni or whatever, one of the reasons we have successful things like that are these people that do this. When they were in high school, they did it then. You look at the people who were starring in those high school productions are now the people that are starring in the Muni productions or starring in the I just think it's something that Springfield has been able to hang their hat on. I would hate to see it go in. I see a lot of other school districts. That's one of the first things they're cutting are the arts programs.
And you mentioned Muni, so I'll put a shameless plug because I know my brother's listening, and my brother and his wife are in Wizard of Oz right now.
Yes, as is my good friend and Man Cave member Johnny Molson. So yes, by all means, go ahead.
Muni Wednesday through Sunday, Wizard of Oz. But no, I completely agree with you. We need to make sure we're giving our kids a well-rounded education, and that comes from the math and science and the athletics, but also for the fine arts, the arts, as well as debate, speech, political science, making sure these kids have every tool they have to go on and advance wherever they want to go.
I just, you hear great stories. If Lanphier doesn't have that great basketball program, Andre Iguodala is not somebody who has Springfield, Illinois mentioned every time they play Philadelphia plays an NBA game. So I'm all for the athletics as well. I read an article, and forgive me for not listing the source. They talked about busing being the next thing that's going to be, when it comes to education expenses, that busing is going to be the next big cut that we're going to be seeing in the coming decade. How is Springfield in regards to busing?
Well, transportation is one of our largest expenses. Paying for the fleet of buses and for the gas it's costly. And actually, that was one of the things that was brought up to the board a few meetings ago, was looking at possibly changing some times for Fishen's Elementary, not Fishen's, the Capital Academy, to make them fall in line with the fleet of buses. And the school board wasn't for that, because we feel that we need to make sure that our kids are getting the education that they need, and when it comes to those academies, that means extra hours in school. So we are making some trims to the transportation budget, but it's not affecting. People are not going to see a change. With
transportation be in the article, and God, I wish I could remember the source, because I'd reference it to you as something to read. They talked about transportation because of two things you mentioned. One being the gas cost. Mm-hmm. How for school boards, this has become a really big burden, to where a lot of the districts are putting it on the parents to say it's up to you to get your kids to school. Springfield is not ready to say that. We're not going to tell parents it's up to you to get your kids to school.
We're definitely looking at how we can save costs in transportation. But like I said, you're not going to see a difference. Your kids are still going to, if they get the bus, they're still going to get picked up by the bus. They're still going to have the gas for the bus to run. We've got that all budgeted in, and we're planning for that.
When you look in the future, though, do you think that is something in the coming decade that will eventually have to be looked at to cut?
I'll be honest, we're looking at everything. Okay. Because hopefully this economy will turn around, and when it turns around, we're going to have more revenue coming into the school district, mm-hmm. which is going to allow us to do more things. But if we keep continuing down this line, we are going to have budgets to where we're going to have to start looking at doing more trims. We're talking about cutting $5 million out of the budget this year, and the more you do that, the more effect it's going to have on education. So I won't say that we're not going to do this or we're not going to do that, because I don't know what the future brings. But I can tell you that my goal is to make sure that the cuts that we make have the least impact on the classroom, and making sure that our kids are getting the education they need.
Horrible question.
Oh, good.
Horrible hypothetical. Today in Tampa, Florida. This morning in Tampa, Florida, a plot was foiled. A former student was getting ready to go back to school, and it'll be coming out here in the next. I think Greg already did one story on it. This will be coming out throughout the day, and you as a school board member, you guys hate these stories, and we all hate them. Kid had a plan to kill 30 students and teachers. They caught him today, from what I understand, entering the school. Okay. It's the worst thing we can think of. It's the hypothetical that scares every parent, scares every citizen, scares school board members. Yeah. This is the worst possible. How secure are we? How secure are our schools?
We are secure. We have partnerships with Springfield Police. We have people in the building that are trained for just those situations. And we have good kids. Mm-hmm. So our students are looking out for their peers, and they're reporting if anything's going on too. So, you can never plan for that crazy hypothetical, but I think we have done everything we can in the schools to make them safe.
Is it the era of smartphones? Can someone pull that off? So many kids have the smartphones these days. And that was one of the issues back in the old Columbine, if you remember the Columbine situation. With so many kids having cell phones, well, and I guess today it was someone with a cell phone that reported things, and like I said, details are still coming out. It's a horrible hypothetical, but you were confident that that we're safe.
Yeah, we're doing what we need to do to make sure our kids are safe when they go to school. I said we have partnerships in place with Springfield Police. Mayor Houston was talking a few days ago, I think on either your show or Jim's show.
I think it was on Jim. Yeah, it was on Jim's show.
Saying that he's going to work on making sure patrols are going around the schools and they're working with the principals. And then, like I said, we have staff trained in every building to deal with situations. And you never want to see something happen, but we are planning for it.
Regional superintendents, the situations come up with the governor not paying them. Are you guys worried that you're going to have to eventually foot the bill for them?
Well, we haven't really discussed it too much as a board. Right. It has not come up yet because we're assuming, well, at least I'm assuming, that that's going to get worked out.
Our governor seems to be pretty adamant that it should be your responsibility as a school board and a school district to try to figure out how to pay these people.
Well, and that's the key there, is figuring out how to pay.
Right.
Because the regional superintendents do a great deal of work. Is there places where we can streamline? Yes. But when it comes down to it, when you're cutting out that level of management, that's going to be put on the school boards who are already strapped.
And the state's the one who mandated these regional superintendents, right? Wasn't it?
I believe so, yes.
Is that something you guys are worried about? We're going to have to pay these people?
Well, I mean, anything that's going to affect our budget, we're concerned about, especially now because you're running deficits.
Right.
But when it comes down to it, I can say that we, as a school board, haven't really discussed it yet because it hasn't come to an issue where we've had to discuss it yet.
You think that eventually the government, well, I mean, I think he's going to have to find a way to pay these people.
I think what hopefully will happen, and I have no insight into this, so I'm just kind of talking as a school board member, hoping that when the General Assembly comes back, they're going to figure something out to where these regional superintendents can continue doing their jobs.
But they are doing their jobs?
Most of them are, from what I've heard. I've heard anecdotal stuff where some of them are, working on unemployment right now.
Very bizarre.
But still, so I think it depends on the region. But, there's a lot that goes through the superintendent's offices. When I was going to school to be a teacher, and it's still to this day, to be certified to be a teacher in Illinois, you have to go through the regional superintendent's offices, and that's a lot of paperwork right there. So I think it's going to get worked out. I'm not sure how it's going to get worked out, but I think it will. But if it doesn't, then we're going to have to, as a school board, look at our budget again and figure out what programs that they were doing that we need in these schools that we will have to take on.
Any of these public schools going to beat SHG in football this year?
Oh, all of them.
Really? All right.
I'll be at every.
I'm going to hold you to that.
I'll be at every Lanphier game. As much as we were talking about arts, I love sports as well, baseball and football, and I'm really proud of our high school teams and our teams throughout the district.
It's I'm a sports fanatic. I think that's obvious to anybody. We have a nice, we got great rivalries. We really do.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a Chatham boy.
We won't hold that against you.
I know. I'm a Chatham boy. Well, let's face it, we usually get beat up in basketball pretty good. Baseball and football, I'll tell you, we ain't bad. Our sports are pretty nice. We have nice battles in this part of the state, and I think I would love to see. I'll be honest. I think one of the best things for the city would be if one of our public schools could beat SHG in one of those football games.
I think you're going to see it this year too.
I don't know. I'd love that. That'd be fun.
I'm a public school boy, born and raised.
Right.
From elementary all the way through grad school was all public, so I'm a little biased.
All right.
But I think our football teams are great. I think they're going to have a good year.
School board member Scott McFarland, thank you for stopping by.
Thank you.
Have you tried anything at the fair? You sampled?
I've been on a diet, but I'm trying.
I know, so am I, but it's thrown out the window.
It's a bad place to be for a guy on a diet.
Don't try the deep fried brownie. Don't try it because you will crave it for the rest of your life. It is so delicious.
Well, my issue is the shake-ups, so I got to stick clear for shake-ups.
I know. I'm looking. They've got them right across the street.
They've got them everywhere.
Yeah, and you see people walking by. I know.
This is a terrible place to be.
Scott McFarland, thank you for stopping by. It's the Ray Lytle Show on 970 WMAY, the News and Talk of Springfield. Back with Greg Bishop or Jim Leach, whoever's in there, and they'll be giving us the news in just a moment.
Live local talk from the Illinois State Fair is coming up on 970